Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Coming back to a watch I have not reviewed in quite some time. And I wanted to come back to it because it's a super. I've created a new word. It's a super watch. This is a super popular watch that I bought probably about, I don't know, 7 years ago. It was one that the first time I saw it on a guy's wrist at one of my jobs, I absolutely fell in love with it. And that is the Bulova Precisionist. Man, oh man, what a gorgeous looking timepiece. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Bulova really took some inspiration from Invicta, really, because when they came out with this was one of the biggest watches that Bulova ever produced. And, you know, they still make it to this day. They've come out with a lot of really cool variations, some of which I'd really like to add to my collection. And this has been a fantastic watch. Super long battery life, super accurate, and really one of these watches that, you know, I never like to mention what gets respect from the watch community, or, you know what I mean? Because really, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't give a shit what other people think about anything. But, you know, it is a watch that arguably, no matter who's out there reviewing products, it doesn't get the hate that like an Invicta brand would get, right? So let's talk about this watch. I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit shorter today because I know you guys love it when I just ramble on for 20 minutes. But, you know, these watches, I guess when you have watches that you enjoy so much, it's easy to talk about them. It's easy to keep talking about them. And so, you know, if you don't like the video, you don't have to watch it. But, all right, so let's talk about this watch. So right from the Bulova website here, their product description just states that from the Icon collection with precise timing of 1/1000th of a second in continuous sweeping second hand, the chronograph is particularly refined in stainless steel with gold and silver ion plated finish in this particular model, of course. And I'm going to give you guys the model in a second here. Black multi-level carbon fiber dial, luminous hour and minute hands, luminous marker, calendar, screw down case back, screw down crown, double press fold over clasp with safety lock. Empowering the Bulova Precisionist, this is one of the most important aspects of this watch, is their proprietary 3-prong quartz crystal precisionist movement with a 262, I think it's kilohertz vibration frequency. It's 8 times greater than standard quartz watch. And I think that, I don't think they mean 8 times accurate, but they do say it's got unparalleled accuracy. It just is 8 times greater than standard quartz watches, and I believe that's a vibration frequency. So let's check it out. So they mentioned that all black face, I think they call it here, their multi-level carbon fiber dial, and hopefully you can see it by the camera here. My Canon doesn't really get in too close, but you can get an idea, and I'll pop a picture up here so you can see what this face looks like. The carbon fiber is absolutely beautiful on this, and I like the fact that there's a lot going on with the dial. As far as the sweeping second hand, hopefully you can see that by the video here. It's a really smooth sweep, really cool. You know, a lot of this stuff I don't really get too involved in. You know, if it didn't have a sweeping second hand, you know, I would have still purchased it. But it's a pretty cool looking sweep. It does have sort of what I would consider like a domed crystal. It doesn't have a rotating bezel, of course, and you don't really need that. And I like the fact they didn't put it on there because, let's face it, there's so many watches out there that have unidirectional rotating bezel. I kind of like the fact they didn't put it on this. This one is the rose tone and gold version, or sorry, rose tone and silver version. They do make it in the yellow, which is the description I'm reading, and they make several different variations. As far as the other variations, let me just click back here and see what is available on the Bulova website today. They have it in the all stainless steel. They do have it in the yellow. The rose gold one is not on their website, but you can probably find it. I'll put a link in the description where you might pick it up. They have the black version, and of all the other watches that they have, like the Grammy edition, these are all really cool. The black one's been on my radar for quite some time. Now this one they're showing here has blue, it has all black with blue needles or blue hands on the second hand, of course, on your subdials. I did find one with red, which is pretty awesome. But the price on these have really crept up. For instance, this particular model on the Bulova website, it's $975, and they state that it's not even available right now. So definitely a watch you're going to have to hunt for. If it is available on Amazon, and since I got you guys here right now, let's go ahead and take a look, and we'll see if they are available on Amazon. Then I'll just link you guys right to the Amazon listing. Bulova Precisionist. It's been a super popular watch. So they do have a couple different variations on here. Let's see what they got. So they do have the all black version that I mentioned with the blue hands, $448, much better than what they list on the Bulova site. They had the rose tone in black, although the movement, and make sure when you are buying this that you do look at the specific movement, because there's some of these that have a different movement. Like this one here is actually just looks like a standard quartz movement with a day of the month, whereas that's not going to get you that 1 in 1,000th chronograph feature, right? If you want to get in the all stainless steel, $693. They do have a couple gold versions that are actually on like sort of a canvas or a rubber strap, which I'm not really a fan of. And then of course they have this particular one that was on the Bulova website in the yellow gold and stainless. So it doesn't look like they have any other they don't have the rose tone variation, but you know, the amount of gold on this, it's so slight. You know, I would have went with the yellow gold. I think at the time when I got this and I chose the rose tone, I didn't have any rose tones. So I was like, oh, I just want something in two-tone with a little rose. It's a gorgeous watch, and you really, if you pick this up in your collection, you will be so happy with it. What's really cool about this watch as well is when you go ahead and activate the chronograph feature, if you're familiar with like a lot of chronographs out there, and if you are going to use a chronograph, generally, your main second hand is stationary. It doesn't move unless you're timing something. With the Bulova, what they do is they actually allow you to use that second hand. It's nice and smoothly sweeping around the dial. And when you activate the chronograph mode, which is this button on the side here, you'll see that that second hand swings all the way to the 12 o'clock position. Now we are in chronograph mode. And when you start the chronograph, just like any other chronograph, it's the #1 function pusher on top. You'll start the chronograph, and you can see the main upper dial there. I think it's a 1/1000th dial is actually spinning away. Press it again to pause it, and you'll pause the time. And if you want to reset it, you press the lower button, and that'll swing that that main larger second hand all the way around to the 12 o'clock position again. And then you're back to start timing something again. If you want, and here's the cool feature. If you want to go back to standard time mode, you press that function button again on the other side, or opposite the crown. And what that does, it's going to swing that second hand all the way around a lot, you know, again, faster than standard speed to catch up to where it left off as far as telling the time. Then it's back in standard time mode. So an absolutely stunning watch, amazing quality. Absolutely love this watch, and I'm so glad I added it to my collection when I could for the right price. I think I paid about $280 for this. So I got on a great deal. The price on these has definitely gone up. What else about this watch? Let's talk about the size here. Let's see if they have that listed on the Bulova site. Product details, here we go. All right, so the model number on this particular one in the two-tone rose, again, I'll link in the description, you go right to Amazon, is a 98B228. This one here I think is like the 225 or 227. The only difference is it's got the rose tone accents as opposed to the gold. Again, it has 8 times greater accuracy than a standard quartz, although quartz watches are really accurate. I think when they talk about the 8 times greater, they're really referring to the chronograph. The ability for the chronograph to actually time something 8 times more accurate in that 1/1000th of a second. What else here? Jenny, your 316 stainless steel, you do have that calendar feature, water resistance of, it looks like here they say 300 meters, and you have a curved mineral glass crystal. You know, again, I've had this watch for over 5 years. I've worn the hell out of it, and there's not one scratch in this crystal. I have this mirror polished bezel on here. You probably can't see, but there are some fine scratches on that. Nothing on the crystal itself. So just a very durable, very stunning, fantastic watch. As far as the sizing on this here, you have a lug width of 24 millimeters and a case width of 46.5. So we're getting close to that 47 mark, which I kind of consider, well, for me personally, I consider oversized 50 millimeter. I think some guys, if you're used to wearing your 40 millimeter watches, will consider this an oversized piece. It is just a, man, if guys, fellas, if you don't have one of these in your collection, again, I'm beating a dead horse here. I can't stress enough that you want to pick one of these up. Now, it does have a screw-down crown with just push-pull function pushers. Remember, keep in mind, you know, just because function pushers are not screwed down, it does not mean they're not water resistant. I've taken this watch in the shower, I've taken it swimming, I've taken it in the hot tub, no problems whatsoever. Now, as far as some other options on this watch, if you want to check out, let's see, some of their iced out versions. They are, and you know me, I absolutely love the crystals. They are making this now in what they call their icon version, and they have it in yellow gold with kind of like almost like a silvery champagne face, and the all silver, and that's done with what I believe is Swarovski crystals. Let's see what they state here. Actually, this is diamond, excuse me. So this is a genuine diamond, 0.84 carat, 62 diamonds around the bezel. So this is definitely going to be a more expensive watch. I will definitely have my eye peeled for this watch if this thing comes down in price. But right now on the Bulova website, you're looking at $1,800. I don't even know if this thing is available on Amazon yet. And it may never pop up. That's an expensive piece. But, you know, I mean, it's a gorgeous watch. You know, when I look at the price on the addition of diamonds, I would much rather have seen them do that with some of their Swarovski crystals. You would get the same look and a much better price. Remember, when you're looking at a watch like this, you're still looking at a what is the price going today? We're still looking at roughly a $700 watch. So, you know, throwing on 8.84 carats of diamonds and then having somebody pay $1,800 for it, to me, it's not worth it, but it may to you. So, but still a stunning piece. And keep in mind, too, that particular watch doesn't have the same movement. So you're really just paying for the look and paying for the diamonds. And part of the precision is which whether you use it or not, what makes it so cool is that super accurate, unique movement. And I think that's really, hence the name, the Precisionist. So I think it's the main reason you'd want to pick one up. And I encourage you to pick up the non-iced out version if you're going to add one to your collection. As far as like the deals that I'm seeing on here, if you catch this video and you're like, gosh, you know, Fat Cat, I want to get that. Really, the black one is just an exceptional value at today's price of $448. If I was in the market right now and I didn't own this one, I would probably go with the black version. It looks awesome. It's super sexy, and I think you guys definitely dig it. I'll put a link to both this particular model with the yellow tone accents and, of course, the black version. So without further ado, let's throw it on the wrist. So I'm about 5'8". I weigh about 182 pounds, and I have a 7-inch wrist. So this watch here, you know, 46.5 millimeter, call it 47. This is what it looks like on a guy my size, my height, my weight, with my wrist size. And again, huge, huge wrist presence. It's a watch that every time I wear it, somebody compliments this thing. It's just a great looking piece. And I think the nice thing about the two-tone is that you have what I call almost like these kind of decorative pillars around four corners of the bezel. I really like when you have the two-tone because it just kind of makes those pop a little bit. It's another design aspect that if it was just silver, it would just kind of blend into the watch a little bit. I like having the two-tone. Of course, with the black version, you're going to lose that. So, I mean, you know, but it's personal preference. Everybody's going to like something different, but it's just, to me, this is just a watch I'm so glad I added to my collection. Again, when I did, the price is just amazing. I mean, and I'll give you guys a little bit story here before we close. This watch, I remember seeing a guy come into my work, and I said, I recognized the watch. I was like, ooh, because I've always seen Bulovas at the K Jewelers and different places like that. And Bulova, to me, can be sometimes an overpriced brand, just like Citizen, a lot of those brands. But, you know, when you get it for the right price, it really is an exceptional value. Now, the prices today are in line with what you're going to pay for a lot of different watches. Although it's a lot more than I paid. $448, I think, is a really reasonable price for this watch. $280, amazing. So, I mean, if you want it, you're going to have to pay for it. I do want to mention, though, just since we're doing this video here, and I happen to have one of my Invicta Sub-Aqua specialties, don't get me wrong, I love both these watches equally. They're fantastic. But when we look at the price difference for what you actually get for money, when I do a side-by-side comparison, and I like to do this stuff because this is just something that the Invicta owner, and this video isn't about, you know, encouraging you to go get an Invicta instead. You know, I'm really happy I have the Bulova in my collection. You know, it's another great piece I can talk about, another great piece I can wear and enjoy, and wear if there's something outside of Invicta, right? But when we look at the bang for buck and what you get for your money, I mean, this Sub-Aqua Specialty 40 millimeter, whether you like it or not, whether you like the stones or don't like the stones, whatever the case may be, it's arguably one of the best looking watches that Invicta makes. And when you get it in the female version, it's a really manageable size. I mean, there's really nobody who could pick this up and say, oh, that's not a beautiful watch. I mean, the case and cradle design is amazing. And when we compare both these watches, I mean, for the price you pay, it's unbelievable what kind of value you get with Invicta. When you feel the quality of these are both 316 stainless steel. They both have, you know, again, the Bulova's got a mineral crystal. Invicta's got the flame fusion. They both are very scratch resistant. You don't need sapphire. The fit and finish is like identical. There's no like odd gaps or anything misaligned. You know, the function pusher and the crowns, they all work properly. They're not gritty in any way. You know, they're both, I mean, this is very subjective, but they're both beautiful watches in my opinion. And here's the amazing thing. The quality is identical. Identical in quality. Nobody who can objectively review a watch is going to pick up these two watches and say, oh, that Bulova just feels better. It doesn't. They're both comparable watches. The design, they're different, but the build quality is exactly the same. There's nobody who can look at these and say, oh, well, this is why the Bulova is a better watch. Absolutely not. And this is the argument I make even when it comes to Rolex. You're not going to put a Rolex next to this Bulova and say, oh man, this is why this is so much better. Most people are going to look at these and be like, wow, they're both really nice watches. Why does one cost $20,000? And when you point those things out, they're not really going to understand the difference. So just, I wanted to put that out there just because it gives you an idea of what you're paying for. And you know, if your only mission, I mean, even when you look here, another thing, even when you look at the clasp, the Bulova has a stamped clasp. The Invicta has a beautiful machine clasp. The Invicta is a much nicer looking clasp, right? But here's the thing when it comes to watches, is that you don't, if your primary goal is to get a great looking watch for the best price, and you're looking at two of these watches, then you don't buy the Bulova. You have to buy the Bulova because you really want the Bulova watch, because you want the Bulova name, because you want, you know, because you want that, I don't know, this accurate chronograph movement, which I never use for anything. You know, ultimately you buy what makes you happy, but don't ever get it twisted that you can compare these two and say one is better than the other. It's not. Is one more accurate as far as, you know, the chronograph feature? Absolutely. The Bulova takes the cake on that. But I don't even use it. So what's the point other than being able to say that? So both great looking watches. There's so many great watches out there, and this is just another example of something that for us watch collectors, you watch geeks out there, you guys who love getting a watch in the mail, love seeing the brown truck pull up or the UPS guy. This is definitely one to add to your collection, and if you want to get in the black, you can get it for $448 today. So let me know if I can help you guys in any way. If you have any questions, I'm always here to help. Thanks for watching the video. As always, have a fantastic day and take care.